Good afternoon, my crazy YouTubian people. Yep, stole Tina's word, YouTubian, because that is an awesome word. Hope everybody is doing well. I'm tired. I'm very, very tired, and I'm very, very sore. I was cleaning up parts of mess that my son left behind this morning, and I haven't slept. So, but welcome. Hope everyone else is having a good day. I never wish ill on other people, well, except some people, I guess. But for the most part, I don't. I don't not know how long the live will be today. I am really, really tired. Now it looks like there's just one person and me. So what's up? My cat is climbing in a box. So if you hear a loud crash, it is a catalanche. Because whenever she gets in the box, she can never get out of it the same way, and she usually causes an avalanche, which is called a catalanche in my house. So, told you. Marty strikes again. And the box is now on the floor. Boy. There's never a dull moment here. Yeah, I can't reach that right now. The dog now only has one way on and off my bed. The box is in the way. This is why she doesn't like the cats all that much. They cause her so much grief. Well, it's definitely not going to be a very long live if there's nobody here, because I have one, then two, then one, then two. In or out, people. Sit still. Damn. Little Mexican jumping beans. You ever have those when you were a kid? They literally moved around. It was really freaky. So there's no drama, so maybe that's why nobody's showing up. The only drama I have is my personal drama, and everybody's tired of hearing about that, so we're gonna not rehash that. Unless somebody asks me a question, and I feel so inclined to answer, then, there is that. So we shall just enjoy the sound of silence, because I have nothing to talk about. And there's nobody here for me to talk to, so nobody's chatting. Okay. My crazy girl, you're trying to eat. Well, just stick your food in your face in the plate and type with your hands. Damn. Put it in a trough. Yes, you can. You put the food on the table and you just shove your face in the food. Meanwhile, you can type. What's for lunch? Or are you having breakfast? Yeah, I know you can do that. I can picture you doing that, which is kind of scary. Yes, in honor of Tina, we have to talk about food. Because Tina always brings up food, and I actually snacked on something before I started my live, so I'm not hungry. Well, not as hungry as usual. Yep, I got all freaked out thinking my landlord was going to show up for like a surprise inspection or something because he was giving me such a hard time yesterday. Nothing. I haven't even heard from him today. I'm like, are you kidding me? I just killed myself for no reason. Well, not no reason, because it does need to be done, but teriyaki bowl. Nice. Ooh, Taco Bell. Yeah, I just have to camp out on the toilet if I have Taco Bell. I mean, literally, it's pointless to get up and move away from it. You know, teriyaki bowl sounds good though. Where did you get the teriyaki bowl? Is it from like an actual Chinese place, or is it like one of those Jack in the Box teriyaki rice things? Timmy, hey, itchy and scratchy, stop it. Ugh. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead, eat. I'll wait. Eat fast. Hey, you're eating a teriyaki bowl. You're only using one hand. Type with the other one. Oh, okay, cool. Only in California, man. Only in California. I believe it. I love teriyaki stuff. Anything teriyaki flavored. If it's the right teriyaki. I've had some really bad tasting teriyaki, but if they do it right, you're good. I miss Chinese food. I haven't had Chinese food in so long. And it's like my favorite thing. If there was one food that I would be stuck with, like one style of food stuck with eating for the rest of my life, I would pick Chinese food because I could eat that every day and not get tired of it. But the place that I like does not deliver. So even if I have the money, I can't get it because we do have a Chinese place that delivers here, but their food is horrible. We tried it once. John was like, "Oh, let's try this place since it's supposed to be really good." Yeah, no, it wasn't. I was like, "We're never eating where you suggest ever again." Because he went all out. He spent like $70 on Chinese food for the four of us, and because he got all these extra sides and shit like that. And yeah, most of it ended up getting thrown away. I was like, glad you spent your money and not mine. You are so not fat. Oh my god. Shut up. Well, you can type while you're chewing. Unless you're shoveling it in with your hands, then, that's messy. I could picture you doing that too if you were really hungry. Just be like, screw the fork, it's too small. Give me a shovel. And get the fuck out of my way. You and Sarah always make me smile. You really do. Which is good, because I need that today. That's what I'm doing. Well, see, it works. We got a system going. It's cool. Thank you for rescuing me while I was struggling, because I'm just like, we're just going to have the cone of silence here. You guys can chat or just stare at the bear, No, for real, you do. You guys always, whenever I see your name come up in a chat, I'm like, my crazy girls are here. One of them, both of them, whichever, it doesn't matter. They're both here. And if you're talking to one, you're pretty much talking to the other. So it works. You eat rice with your hand? It gets messy. Most people use a fork, spoon, or even chopsticks. I could never figure out chopsticks. My fingers just don't want to work that way. It's weird. Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. John always insisted on having chopsticks because he's a California boy, and not that really has anything to do with using chopsticks, but he spent 9 months in Hong Kong when his dad was stationed there. So Yeah, the leg thing. Yeah, I'm hopefully will be able to use my prosthetic pretty soon. The issues that I was having with the incision site is all healed up now, so I'm back to squishing my leg with the ace wrap to try and shrink it, as they call it. It's basically you're manipulating your yeah, you're mutilating yourself, kind of, but it's to mold it a little so it fits better in the leg. Hey, Caroline. Yeah, I would starve too. What's funny though is because when he was using them and the kids were little, the kids both wanted to use them. My son couldn't figure them out. I mean, he can, but not the correct way. So he used to just like stab his pieces of chicken with a chopstick and eat it that way. He goes, "Look, I'm using chopsticks." My daughter Kayla, however, was able to pretty much master them almost instantly. I was like, "Yeah, you suck." But he would flip out if he requested chopsticks and they forgot to put them in the bag. I finally just bought him his own. So he had authentic bamboo chopsticks. Yay! Hi, Bobby. So, yeah. But yeah, his dad was stationed in Hong Kong for like 9 months, and so they lived over there. So you got looked at really funny, and people didn't want to serve you food if you were trying to use utensils in some of the places they went to. So he had to learn how to use chopsticks, or he would have starved. Aw, they don't scare anybody. Well, yeah, they do scare some people, but I know the drama. I mean, I've said it before in my lives. It's a proven fact. They've done actual research on it. That's why soap operas are so popular, and they last forever. I mean, the one soap opera's been on TV for what, like 40 years, 50 years, something like that. People like drama. Drama or sex. We start talking sex or sex toys or any of that stuff, and all of a sudden people start showing up in droves. I think the last time when Kevin was on the panel and he was like, "I have questions," and we were like, "Okay." My numbers went from like, I don't know, like 10 to like 25 in like 30 seconds. It was so funny. I was like, "Holy shit." I freaked out. I'm like, "Oh my God, people are actually watching." Yeah. Sex and drama sells every time. But the only drama I have is personal shit, and it's depressing. So, I mean, I did my whole thing yesterday with that, here, because my landlord kept texting me and giving me a hard time. He was being an asshole and traumatizing me, and I was having anxiety attacks all fucking day. So, yeah, I'm like, So I really don't want to go over it again in detail or anything. It's just, a lot of people are tired of drama. And then, I mean, then there's situations, it's not really drama to the people that are involved in it because it's emotionally tied to them. So it's them trying to get things settled or wondering why the hell somebody is doing this to them or whatever, or why someone's doing something to their friend, or, they're emotionally invested in it. So to onlookers, it would be drama. But to the people involved, it's a serious situation. It's serious. Why so serious? Bobby. I said sex toys and Bobby perked up. Look at that. Because I know you weren't perking up about drama. Uh-oh. Oh, that looks really good. And my little bear in the background. That's so cute. Okay, well, now I'm hungry. Thanks. Sending me pictures of food and shit. You're not fat at all. Stop it. Oh my god. Girl, please. You come to my house and I will sit on you and then you will know fat, okay? Yeah, Bobby, I agree. I mean, I can be dramatic, but and I mean, I have no problem with confrontation whatsoever. In case anybody, missed that. If I got something to say, I'm going to damn well say it. I don't care if you like it or not, but you know. But there are times when discretion is the better part of valor, and I'm trying not to rip into my landlord about being such a dick, because I don't want animosity between me and my landlord. Because it just makes for a very uncomfortable relationship as you go further. I mean, we started renting from him 7 years ago, 6 or 7 years ago. So, I held myself back when he ripped me off from my security deposit from the other house I rented from him for a year, which was cleaner when I left than when I moved in. And he said that it wasn't and kept my security deposit, $525 or $550. A month before Christmas, he ripped off a disabled person, which was very sweet. Guess he really needed his drugs. So, Yeah, yeah, definitely, Sarah. I mean, it's human nature to be curious about things, and I mean, I admit it, I'm nosy as fuck. I'll be like, "Hey, what's going on?" You know what I mean? If I know there's drama between people that I care about, I'm in it. I'm like, "What is happening?" I know, Bobby. I haven't heard from him at all today. Not at all. I expected him to be here at like 9 o'clock this morning. Nothing. I'm like, okay, because I was out. I was out in the rest of the other half of my house, cleaning and picking up and doing dishes and all that happy crap till 11 o'clock, from 8:30, quarter to 9 to 11. Yeah, I hurt a lot, but nothing. But it's okay because I mean it needed to get done anyway. My son left five of the cardboard containers to the 12 packs of soda that he was buying, in the cans. He left them all like shoved under my kitchen table. I'm like, what the hell? So I got rid of those and ripped those all up. Took great satisfaction in ripping them up, except when the spiders came out and went boo. I was like, no hitchhikers. You're not paying rent. Get out. Uh, and I got 4 bags of trash out the door because a lot of it was just, I mean, like he'll throw stuff at the trash can and he'll miss and he'll leave it there on the floor. So I'm like, okay, enough is enough. He's obviously not going to come and clean up after himself. It's been, over 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks yesterday since I've heard from him. Obviously, he's not going to come clean up his mess. So what irritates me is one of the comments my landlord made. Yeah, I said I wasn't going to talk about it, right? One of the comments my landlord made when he texted me was that, the last time he was over here and he was in the living room and the kitchen, it was pretty bad. It was messy. Yeah, who lived in the living room was my son, and I didn't go in the kitchen because he had so much crap in there that I couldn't move around with the wheelchair. So I didn't go in the kitchen. So all of that mess, all of that clutter was my son, wasn't me. I mean, my room looks like a damn storage unit. I don't have any space to be messy. There's there's no room to make a mess. So, And the craft room is just, I mean, I've got boxes in there of stuff that I've been moving in, but my supplies and stuff. But other than that, it's not messy. Except now the dog goes on the pee pads in there. So yeah, that kind of irritated me that I'm having to deal with the repercussions of my son's laziness, and that kind of irritates me. And I can say that even if he watches this, because he tells me, I'll be like, "Why didn't you do that?" He goes, "'Cause I'm lazy." I'm like, "Well, okay then." Yeah, Caroline, I agree. There are a lot of snarky people. People are taking things the wrong way, or they get sensitized to certain things the way they're typed in. And I mean, I don't usually go to auctions because I can't buy anything, and it's very heartbreaking for me personally when I know that I would really love to have something and it's calling to me and I can't afford it. And I can't justify spending money. Well, I don't have the money, but even if I did, I can't justify spending it on something that I can't use, something that looks pretty. Susanna bought me a bear yesterday, um, in her auction from Sandy, which it's adorable and it has little fetishes all over it, and it's so cute. And I'm like, oh my god, bear! And so that made my day. I was having such a horrible day, and Susanna, I love you, and you definitely made my day. And I can't wait to get it. Yeah, yeah, exactly, Sarah. It's like, whoa, what happened? Yeah, yeah. So yeah, or you're used to watching people that are grouped together, and then all of a sudden they're all going separate ways, and you're like, wait, what happened? And you're on the outside, you don't know what happened. Nobody's telling you what happened. Nobody's talking about it. They just don't talk to each other anymore, and you're like, wait, what is going on? That drives me crazy because I'm so nosy. I'm like, no, I need to know what's happening. Yeah, Bobby, I hear you. You can get drawn in too deep. Definitely can. And like I said, you get so invested that it's not drama anymore. It's something personal, and then it's he said, she said, or she said, she said, or he said, or you know what I mean. It's one person saying the one thing and the other person saying another, and the truth is usually somewhere in the middle. Usually, not always, because sometimes one person is just a big old asshole and wrecks it for the whole group. But I mean, online groups and communities and things like that are exactly the same as if you were in person. I mean, people relate it to high school, and it is because that's where you start building your social skills, really, is in school. So, but I mean, if you're in a work environment and you're going to work, you have the same group of people that you work with. Sometimes you socialize outside of work. There's going to be drama in those groups. Anytime you have more than one person involved in anything, there's going to be drama. There's going to be somebody's going to misunderstand something, or somebody is going to take something the wrong way, or which is the same thing as misunderstanding it. Um, or somebody is just going to say something completely assholish and fuck it up for everybody. You know. Caroline, really? I don't know. I go in and I say hi. Although I don't chat as much as I do, like, say, in Victoria's show or Larry's show, because it is an auction and it's their business, and I don't want to interfere or distract people from looking at their items and things like that. But if I go into an auction and I let them know I'm there. I'm like, hi, and I say hi to everybody. And life goes on. Yeah, well, I'm still nosy, Sarah. I am. Bears are very curious creatures. They are. It gets us in a lot of trouble. Yeah, ghosting somebody is, well, I mean, I've done it. There are a couple of people, at least two. Um, Now it's more like four, that I don't acknowledge in any way, unless they start shit. Then I retaliate. I know you do, Sarah. I can feel your presence. I'm like, my crazy girls are in here. I know they are. No, I understand what you're saying, Caroline. I do. Yeah. I'm not technically a reseller. I mean, I'll be selling my own things, and I do have things that Linda Varud sent to my house that she wants me to sell for her, and then we split the money for it, which is an okay thing. And I have what came in the hashtag cockmail besides the toys was a lot of costume jewelry. So I'll probably be doing jewelry jars at some point. Some of the stuff's really pretty, actually. I don't really do costume jewelry. I don't work with it. I don't really wear it because I can't have anything other than a serious metal on my skin. I break out. Treasure hustlers are professional lurkers, right? When are you girls gonna do a new video, man? I love watching you guys get in and out of those dumpsters. It's crazy. I have leg envy. You're like doing hurdles in and out of the dumpsters. Your dismounts are awesome. I love it when you guys are live and you go dumpster diving. It's awesome. It's fucking fantastic. I said awesome too many times in a row. I was like, wait. It is though. Yeah. I don't know. Well, we don't want Jackie to break any bones. She already tried to eat the tie-dye ink. We do not want her breaking anything. Although you could tie-dye her cast. Just don't let her open the package. Yeah. Hell, all my friends are on YouTube. YouTube and Facebook. And I have no friends in my area whatsoever. I still have that picture. I do. I was like, I could probably delete that now. And then I'm like, no, I'm not deleting that. I'm keeping that bitch. It was so funny. Oh my god, am I gonna die? Her teeth are still a little blue. Oh my god. I think you're fibbing. I don't think her teeth are blue. Poor Jackie. I felt so bad for her. I mean, it was funny as fuck. Don't get me wrong. That was some funny shit. But I did feel bad for her because that's just a horrible thing to have happen. It's kind of like those dye bombs they put in money so that if you like rob a bank or something, it blows up. Except she bombed herself. Could have been worse. It could have been green. That's one thing I have never done. I've never done tie-dye anything. And I love tie-dye, so... But no, I cannot even think about starting new projects. I'm still trying to get this one, my jewelry stuff going. And I get distracted easily with creative, crafty things. So, no. Yeah, she did. She definitely got more dye on her face. Oh my god. Poor girl. I don't know. I can honestly say I've met some really quality people on YouTube. I've met a lot of really high quality people online. I had one person that, yeah, he he just needed to go. He moved to South Carolina to stay with us to help out with rent and things he was supposed to. And he came here from New York. He was supposed to show up and start looking for work. Yeah, he never left the house. He smelled, even right out of the shower, he stunk. And he reminded me of the troll from Stephen King's Cat's Eye movie. That little troll that comes out of the wall and like steals a little girl's breath. Yeah, if you could have smelled that troll, that's what he smelled like. And he kind of walked like him too. It was really creepy. And yeah, John left to go to California to help his mom sell her house, and he was there with me. And let's just say I was sleeping with a knife under my pillow because, yeah, was not happy with that situation. And then he told everybody on AOL in the chat room, because that's why I met him, was the AOL chat room that I hung out in. Told everybody that my dogs were annoying him, and he was just going to open the gate and let them go because our whole front yard was fenced in, and he was just going to let them loose. And I came home and I had like 15 emails with copy and paste of the chat with him saying that. And I walked down and I said, pack your shit. I'm taking you to the bus stop. You better call your mother and have her have a ticket ready for you. And I was like, because ready or not, you're getting left at the bus stop right now. Get in the car. He was like, you can't do that. I was like, watch me. And I called his mother and said, you better have your son a ticket ready for the bus stop because I'm taking him there now. He's coming home. I will not have someone threaten my pets like my dogs like that. I had a $400 Great Dane. Are you fucking kidding me? So the person I'm talking about, Sarah, no, he was just on AOL. I have no idea where he is now. I could care less. I dropped him off at the bus stop and I left. I didn't even wait to see him get on the bus. I was like, see you, bye. And I didn't even have to freaking call my partner from work, who is a Army Ranger, who had told me if I had any problems with the guy to just give him a call and he'd be there. Age, sex, location. Yep. Yeah, we didn't tolerate that in our chat room. We were like, no, we don't troll here. So on your way, or just talk like a normal person. Because I was in the pagan circle. That was the name of the chat room, was the pagan circle. It was regulars. And I still am friends with some of those people that they're on my Facebook. Yep. Matter of fact, I got my first tattoo from John while I was chatting. I'm typing in, ow, 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 ow. Fuck, that hurts, ow. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, getting a tattoo. And they're like, no, you're not. I'm like, yeah, I am. They're like, seriously? I'm like, yeah. Yeah. The tattoo was, and the surgeon was able to save that tattoo because it's on the outside of my left calf. And the cut amputation is about 3 inches below that tattoo. So I was super impressed that he was able to save my tattoo. Although John and I were coming up with sketches on how to modify it if they had to cut into it. So luckily we didn't have to do that because that would have sucked. I remember Earthlink. I never used it, but I remember it. I was so pissed off when they shut down the chat rooms. I really was. I mean, it's like I lived in that chat room because I had no friends here. I was working at Walmart. I wasn't allowed to socialize with anybody at work. And, honestly, most of the people that I have run into in this town aren't people I would be able to hang out with anyway because the stupid factor is just unbelievable. Now, my neighbors are the exceptions. The neighbor that mows my lawn for me, and the guy that runs the store for me, and now his roommate came over and rescued me with my toilet overflowed and flooded my house on Sunday. That was fun. Ugh. He came running over and shut the water off for me, and so he helped me out. And he went to the store for me and took my trash off my porch and put it in the can for me. I was like, yay! Just took all the cardboard off the porch too. Then my son left there. I was like, thank you. Sarah, I grounded my daughter Kayla. She was 13, 14. I grounded her off the computer for a week. That girl screamed at me like she was being stabbed. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? I'm like, raise your voice at me one more time and you're losing the phone too. Now, she didn't have a cell phone, but she was going to lose house phone privileges, and she shut up immediately. She's like, mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like, and if you keep it up, we're also going to make it 2 weeks grounding from both. And she was like, And the reason she got grounded from the computer is because she was not being careful with how she was chatting with her friends. And as kids do, she's like, I'll kill you, like that. And the girl's mother saw it, and she freaked out and called me and said, your daughter's threatening my daughter. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I was like, hold on, let me go look at what it was. And she's like, how can you do that? I was like, because I'm a smart parent and I have a keylogger on my computer. She's like, what? I'm like, oh, why would you let your child on your computer without a keylogger to make sure they were behaving? Or if there was a problem like this instance, you could go back and check. So I went back and I looked at the whole conversation, and both of them were they were goofing around. And my daughter Kayla was very dramatic when she was in school. So she's like, I'll kill you if you do that, She didn't mean literally. Hell, Kayla couldn't even swat a fly. She, you know what I mean? She didn't like causing any kind of bodily damage to anybody. So, yeah, she thought her life was over. But I was like, you have to be careful what you say. I was like, otherwise my account can get shut down. Hello? And then none of us have the computer, and then you'll see some bitching. Okay. So, yep. She's like, how did you know what I said? I said, because I watch what you do. She's like, Mom, that's creepy. I said, welcome to being my child. Have you met me? Yeah, she used to get caught at all kinds of things on the computer and couldn't figure out how. Because her mom is not stupid. Because you can set those things so that they search for certain words, and it would log the conversation. If that word was said, it would like log like a minute or something. I was like, I want everything. So, yeah, I was able to see her entire conversations with her friends, just to make sure she was behaving. She was, for the most part. She started getting a little bit out of control, not with the killing thing, but just with a boy she was chatting with, and I was like, nope. She was like, how'd you know I said that? One day she went, wow, you really are a witch. And I'm like, boo. Yeah. Right, Sarah? All the stuff that we did when we were kids, we're like looking back at it now and we're like, what was I thinking? I remember when I got my right ear pierced for the second time. My neighbor did it, and I knew my mom would freak out, and she woke me up really early the next day, and she's like, "Mom, we need to go shopping." So I'm walking around trying to hide my ear, and I had pretty long hair, so it wasn't difficult. But I was trying on a shirt, and because we were going clothes shopping, and I was trying on a shirt, and she wanted to see it, so I went out so she could look at it, and she was like, "Oh, well, let me fix the collar," and I didn't even think about it. And she fixed the collar, and she was like, "What is that in your ear?" I'm like, "Oh shit," you know. And I was like, "What?" I pierced my ear, and she's like, "Yeah," freaked the fuck out. I'm like, "Oh my god, calm down, woman." Yeah, I never did tell her I got my nipples pierced. Could you imagine? She freaked out at me getting my ears pierced. Well, Mom. Mm. When I talked to my mom this morning, she was feeling a little better. She was doing bills. She was writing out checks because my mom still writes checks. She does not have a computer. Does not do anything electronically. She's terrified that her information would get stolen. So she writes out her checks and puts them in the mail. So that's what she was doing this morning. She sounded a lot better. Her voice wasn't as scratchy and tired. The past 2 weeks, every time I talked to her, I could only talk to her for about 3 minutes, and she would just start sounding so exhausted that she would have to get off the phone. And today, I think I talked to her for about 10 minutes, and the only reason she got off the phone was because she wanted to get the bills done so that my daughter could drop in the mailbox on her way out to go to school, to go to college. So I'm glad she's feeling better, because she had me scared there for a while. That COVID is no joke. Yeah, my mom did freak out about me when I got my tongue pierced, because I got my tongue pierced when I was 40. It was a birthday present to myself. And yeah, my mom was like, "What is that?" I'm like, "What?" She's like, "What is on your tongue?" And I'm like, "Oh, She's like, "I don't know what to even say," and she walked away. I'm like, shit. But she wouldn't look at me when I talked to her. Because her eyes would automatically go to my mouth, and I've always had bad teeth too, so that was kind of freaking me out. But I found out that having your tongue pierced when you have teeth that break when you eat bread is not a good idea. So then I had to take it out when I had to go to court for John, because he had to go in front of the judge, and he was going to call me as a witness if he had to. And so I figured, it's kind of rude to be talking to a judge with metal in your mouth. So I took the piercing out, and it had been in there for 2 years, and the fucking hole closed up in like an hour. I'm like, are you kidding me? When did I get super healing powers, and how come it didn't work on my leg? But yeah, then I got it redone when I was 45, and it was killing my mouth. My teeth were too bad for me to deal with it. So, oh God, yeah, that's a little young. I probably would have freaked out too. I mean, like, get that out of your mouth right now. The piercings that I can't stand is the labret piercing right under the lip. And there was this girl at Walmart when I was working. She's wandering around. I watched her for a little while, but I wasn't really getting that shoplifter vibe from her. But she had this like toxic green colored ball as a piercing. And the only thing I could think of is she looked like she had swallowed nuclear waste and dribbled. You know what I mean? I was like, ew, that looks horrible. Mm. Yeah. You gotta be careful where you go with people that are sticking needles in your skin. Whether it's piercings or tattoos, My tattoo equipment is still all locked in a storage unit. As far as I know, she still has a storage unit. She hasn't told me that she lost it, but because it's under Issa's name. strangely, she hasn't asked me for any money for it either. But I have no way to get my stuff out of it anyway. It's $900 worth of tattoo equipment. I've got 3 guns. Yeah, I've got 3 guns and then some artwork, like flash art. I did have the autoclave type of thing. It was like it looked like a pressure cooker, basically. It was to sterilize needles and stuff. But that ended up getting ruined. John dropped it. I'm like, you fuck. What the fuck? Yeah, he got the full mass hole experience that day. My martial arts instructor, his whole face was pierced. I told him once I was going to string all his piercings together and just pull the string and close his face. He had 5 piercings, 5 rings in each eyebrow. He had both sides of his nose pierced. And he had his lip pierced 3 times, and he had his labret done. Yeah, way too much metal on someone's face. And he was outside playing soccer with his boys, and one of them kicked the ball and hit him right in the face with the soccer ball. Now, normally this wouldn't faze him because the man didn't feel pain, but it broke the labret. It broke the piercing, and he couldn't get it out. He could get the back out, but he couldn't get the front part out because what happened is the metal splintered, and like there was like a lip on the inside, and it got stuck in his skin. He went to the place he had the piercing done, and he's like, this is what happened. And they were like, you need to go to a doctor to get that removed. We're not touching that. So, yeah, he had to go to the hospital and have them remove it. And then when it healed up, he had to put back in. I'm like, oh, you dumbass. Yeah, that man felt no pain whatsoever. Oh. Yeah, your foot, anywhere that the skin is close to the bone, is going to hurt more. Like your wrist, your foot, your shoulder blade, that kind of thing. Hell, I gave myself the tattoo that's on my left arm. I did myself. And tattooing one-handed is not easy. And then when I got attacked by the dog the next day, it bit through my K and kind of wrecked it. I was pissed. I was freaking out in the hospital. Look what the dog did to my tattoo. And everybody was like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, but my ink. Yeah. But I lost my guinea pig because almost all the tattoos I did were on John, and they're all ashes now. So luckily, I still have pictures of them. But yeah, I think my daughter Kayla got a tattoo of a flower, but it's like from just above her ankle, and it kind of wraps around the top of her foot. I know she's got one on the inside of her forearm, in honor of her friend who committed suicide, and her other arm is my mother's signature. I don't know what other tattoo she has because she stopped talking to me like 8 years ago. So I don't know if she has anymore, but I know she had those. See, they tell you to practice on yourself, right? Because you have to be able to learn to, well, you're supposed to practice on like an orange or a piece of pigskin. And then yourself, because you have to learn how to gauge the needle, how deep to go and all of that. Ew. No. He told me I could turn them into lampshades if I wanted to. I said, oh, yeah, that's illegal. Like, no. I told him, I said, I don't have the right facial shape for that mustache, so I'm not turning people into lampshades. That's right. His wife told him that she found a thing online that said you could have ashes enclosed in a sex toy. And he looked at me and he goes, do not let her do that to me. He's like, I don't like going there when I'm alive. Why the hell would I want to go there when I'm dead? I'm like, are you kidding me right now? We're not having this conversation. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, but she took his ashes, so I don't know what she did with them, but probably stuck them in a box in a closet somewhere. Although I have some of his ashes. But what he really wanted to do was be putting fireworks, but that costs like $3,000 or more, 10 grand, something like that, and I can't afford that. None of us can afford that. So I was like, well, you shit out of luck. We might be able to shove your ass in a firecracker or something, but that's about it. Yeah, Sarah, it was when that came out of her mouth, we both just went, what? She's like, yeah, you can send the ashes away and they make it into it. I'm like, what? And he went, no, you are not turning me into a dick. I'm like, too late. Because he always gave me those opportunities. But he was like, bitch. I'm like, yes. This is how our conversations rolled. So, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a personalized thing. I don't think that you'd want some random dead person's ashes going anywhere in those places. You know what I mean? It's a specialty thing. Like you can turn ashes into those glass orbs. Have you seen those? They're like these really cool colored orbs that they do, and it's all these swirly colors in it. And it's actually ashes. I don't know how they do it, and I don't want to know how they do it, but it's pretty cool looking. And instead of having an urn, you have this cool little, and they have some that you can put on those light panels, and they light up in different. It's pretty cool. And you can have them turned into a seed, putting around a seed so that you plant it. Yeah, they're really cool. I have a crematory jar pendant that it's blue glass, and it has a pewter fox on it, like a tribal fox. And it's really cool because John's spirit animal was fox. So I got me that one, and my son got the same one. And then we got one of John's friends got Talon one that has like a parent holding their arms out to a child, and different family members sent ordered them and had them sent to me so that they could have his ashes and stuff. So I was like, shit, more people wanted him around when he was dead than when he was alive. I also bought a second necklace, a second pendant, and had a Wyld put on it because the screen name that I gave him when we started with AOL and everything was Wyld Scotsman, WYLD Scotsman, which is why when I put Wyld Wednesdays, it's WYLD. And I also tattooed that across his back in the same lettering that the TV show Charmed used for, the Charmed part. It came out really cool. But, and then I have a small urn, a little tiny one. It's like 2 inches high, and that's got his information on it. And I couldn't figure out the little funnel things. There's no spoon small enough to put ashes using that funnel thing that they give you. It's tiny. So what I did is I bought a snuff jar, and it has a little scoop attached to the lid, and I used that to scoop up the ashes and put them in the jewelry. And and then I just filled the jar up with his ashes too, because I knew she was going to take the ashes, and he didn't want her to have his ashes, but since she was legally married to him, there was nothing I could do. I have no legal recourse, so I just kept as much of them as I could. Nah. So, and I had wanted to get a memorial tattoo for him, but where I would have to get it would be like on the back of my shoulder, and I don't have anybody put the ointment on it now, so that's not happening. Because definitely don't want that getting infected or ruined. So, yeah, and I can't afford the tattoo anyway. But Caroline, I get emails saying car insurance this and warranty this, and I'm like, bitches, I don't have a car anymore. Leave me alone. Stop rubbing it in. I'm still bitter. Although I did get rid of that piece of crap car that was out there, so that's cool. It was worth being woken up by the dogs barking their asses off to get rid of that. And you'd think the landlord would be happy. But no, he just bitching about something else. You know, we never nitpicked at him or anything. We never. I mean, there's stuff here that could be fixed. That could be improved on. We've never ever harassed him for anything. The only times we ever mention anything is when it's serious, like the AC breaking, or like when my son almost slipped and fell in the shower and his heel went through the tub. There's a big hole in the tub, so yeah, that could cause structural damage with the water. So we called them and they replaced the tub, things like that. But don't bug him for stuff. He never hears from me. So, and I pay my rent on time in full every month. I always have. So I just don't understand why. I mean, I understand him being concerned about the floors, but him being rude as fuck to me was not necessary. So, anyway. The only person who calls me is my mom. my dog just stretched and grunted. I was like, "Are you okay back there? What the hell's going on?" I caught the back half of her stretch, and I'm like, "Oh." So yeah, I'm pretty much done for the day with. I still tonight I got to go out in the other half of the house and feed Miha and make myself something to eat. Probably gonna have burgers or something. Why would people in Cali not need stimulus checks? Bobby, no. No heavy breathing on my phone. I'm all by myself, okay? I don't need to get all excited and be sitting here like, hello. I can't afford to shop with Amber, okay? I know I could use another stimulus check. That would be really nice right now. It's all about to get personal. I need to move that nerd thing that I have, that little purple creature that I have that John got me because it's staring at me, and I just realized it's staring at me, and now it's bugging me, and I can't reach it from here. So, oh, I don't know if I told you guys, when the plumber showed up, he just opens the door to the craft room, and I'm like, oh, hold on, the dog can't get in there. So I grabbed Miha to keep her from going into the craft room because her and Simi don't get along, and my door was open. I have an adjoining door to the craft room from my bedroom. And so I'm holding on to Miha, and Marty runs out the door into the main part of the house. I'm like, oh, hell. And he had closed the door, and I let Miha go before I realized the cat was out there. I turn around in the wheelchair, like I spin the wheelchair around, and there's Miha and Simi nose to nose, or Miha and Marty nose to nose, just staring at each other, literally touching noses. I'm like, please don't eat the cat. Like, and then Marty starts rubbing up on the dog, and Miha just stood there like, okay, look, it's another animal. I have company, you know. She was all happy not to be alone. I'm like, poor dog. But so they got along fine. I was just having a problem getting her back in the room afterwards because, of course, I had to chase her through the kitchen and the living room to get her back into the craft room. Yeah. Every little bit helps, you know. I mean, I don't even spend $150 on groceries a month. I'm lucky if I spend $60 on groceries a month. I don't have it. I'm really hoping my son keeps his word about helping me out financially, which I hate having to depend on him for that, but the expenses from this house, especially with the water being $142 fucking dollars with just me here, because it was running for the whole month from the toilet because he didn't fix it, and he's like, "Oh, it's been whistling since I fixed it." Yeah, that wasn't whistling. That was the water running. Fucktard. Yeah. My expenses outweigh what I get a month, so hopefully he will help. I have not heard from him, so I don't know. But he also said that he'd take my card and get my money for my part of the rent off the card. And if he doesn't do that, I don't know how I'm going to get my rent. So, yeah, he does. My son owes me like $1,000. But he doesn't feel he owes me that because I'm his mom, and when he was out of work, I should have just paid his way and not worried about it because that's what family does. Yet he's completely abandoned me, hasn't even messaged me. So I guess that's what family does. You know, I'm like, okay, do we help or do we not help? You can't have both. I don't get it. I really don't. No, I understand about Cali. John was from California. I used to tease him that he was from the land of fruit and nuts. And then I stole the wine out of Boondock Saints because he looked at me one day. He goes, "Do I look gay?" I said, "You look like you've seen a few up close." He was like, "That's just not right." He goes, like, "I'm out." And he like walked out of the room. It was funny. Don't get me wrong. He got me good a few times too, but I was usually more quick on the uptake than he was, so I got him more than he got me. But if the opportunity is there to make a smart-ass comment, you must take it. Those are the rules. See, we couldn't do that with Issa because she'd get all butthurt. Have a good day, Carol Ann. Thank you for coming and staying with us for a while. Yeah, Issa took stuff way too personally. And awkward silence. Dun dun dun. Dun dun. Dun. Wow, can you tell I'm tired? He is a sleepy bear. Well, I'm glad you think so, Caroline. I do try. Doesn't always work, but I try. It's all good in the neighborhood. So I don't know if anybody was in Victoria's show this morning when she was trying to say crikey, which just popped into my head. The way that she was saying it was so funny. I felt so bad, so I had to do hooked on phonics on the private messenger to help her say it correctly. She's like, cricky. I'm like, no. And then she did the accent thing, and I'm like, oh my God, stop. Please stop. Just stop. I love Victoria, but the British and Australian accents suck. She does have fun trying, though. She really does. Sarah and Jackie, are you eating again? Is that why you're not talking? What happened? Stop talking to each other. Talk to me. Crikey. I need input, people. I need input. Kodi Bear needs input. You're gonna go give Penny the possum a bath. That sounds interesting. Yeah, like wait 5 minutes. Hello? No, I'm kidding. If you need to go give the possum a bath, you can go right ahead. We'll wait. The only experience I have with possums is they used to get in my trash bags. And the freakiest time was when my back door was left open accidentally, and we had the trash bag out in the utility room. So the dogs wouldn't get into it. And I went to throw something away, and the trash bag started moving. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I look in the bag, and there's this little possum in there. And he's like, and I'm like, ah, what the fuck? So I just picked up the bag and threw it out the door. And like 5 minutes later, he crawled out of the bag and took off. And I'm like, okay, then. Went out, picked up the bag, and came back inside. I'm like, And Miha caught one, or Max caught one when he was 4 or 5 months old. And it was just a little one, a little possum, but he wouldn't let go of it. And he was a Rottie bloodhound mix. He wouldn't let go of the fucking thing. And I'm like, John's like, why won't he drop it? I'm like, because it's still alive. He goes, it's dead. I'm like, no, it's not. There's a reason they call it playing possum. The dog can still feel the possum's pulse. He's got it in his mouth. You know? We finally got him to let go of it. Hey, Amy, what's up, my badass? Finally got him to let go of it. I get the dog inside, and I tell John, I'm like, look, get the shovel and the broom, just pick the thing up and, put it over the fence or whatever. And he grabs the little shovel we had and goes outside, and all of a sudden I hear him yelling. The thing jumped up and started hissing at him and then ran off. It scared the crap out of him. It was funny. The possum was fine. It was funny, though. Yeah, they stayed out of the yard after that. At least the front yard, where the dogs were. Still got in the backyard, where the trash was. Fuckers. La 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 la. You are too listening. Don't lie. Don't be lying. Hi, Annie. But I know they're useful and all that. I just didn't like them in my trash. Oh, and then the one that got in my house. It got in my. How the hell my back door, both back doors got left open? I don't know, but I'm surprised the dogs didn't get out. I heard this big commotion out in my kitchen, and I'm like, what in the hell is going on? So I go out the door. This is when we had the trailer and we lived in the woods and mobile home. I go out there, and I had a portable dishwasher, like on wheels, so you can move it to where you need it and hook it up to the sink. God, I love that thing. I miss it. And I had 5 dogs surrounding the thing, staring at the bottom of it, and then the cats were all up on the counters and like the bookcase and stuff. And I'm like, what is happening here? And then I saw the little tiny bit of tail sticking out from under the dishwasher. I'm like, are you kidding me? There's a possum in my house. Oh, I'm sorry you still feel like shit, Amy. I hope you feel better soon. So I had to wheel the dishwasher over to the door, open it, and luckily it blocked the entire door so the dogs couldn't get out, and just like leave it open so he could crawl out on his own. It took him a half an hour to come out and go outside. I'm like, really? You can see the outside from where you are. Just make a break for it. It did eventually leave, but I was not happy. Bobby calling out the lurkers. There, see? Annie was lurking and she came out and let herself be known. Nah, lurkers can lurk if they want to. I'd rather have them lurking than trolling, you know? Because I have not had to time out anybody or boot them out of my chat in a really long time. It's nice. Although TG has come close, because every time she comes in, fucking banana poop in there. Missed today, did you, Hotness? I've done that. If it wasn't for it saying Wednesday or the day of the week on my computer, I'd be lost. My days blend, and I sleep off and on in weird intervals, and so like I wake up and I don't know which day it is. I'm like, how long did I sleep? Is it tomorrow yet? You know? No, it's never tomorrow. It's like 20 minutes after I fell asleep. It sucked. So. I debated not doing it. I only scheduled it like an hour before I started or so, hour and a half. Because I was doing so much earlier this morning that I hurt so bad, and I haven't had any sleep. I've probably had about 3 hours of sleep in the past 48 hours. No, apparently not. Oh shit! You know what? I forgot to put the link in again. I'm like, why hasn't anybody come in to play with me? And I realized that they can't if there's no link, right? Just in case anybody did want to. Like, I hate doing them alone, but I forget to put the link. That's brilliant. And this is how tired I am. My bad. No. But yeah, I was busting my ass out in the other half of the house, and well, in the rest of the house, I was busting ass. I hurt so bad. You ever tried doing dishes with your arms at shoulder height? It's not easy, and it's not comfortable, and you have to bend your elbows weird. I don't have any words blocked. If that's a thing you can do. I didn't even know you could block words. No, I don't have anything blocked. Because sitting in the wheelchair doing dishes, the sink, the top, like the edge of the sink is pretty much at my shoulders. So yeah, that's fun. Yeah, see, Amy said it. So did Annie. YouTube just doesn't like you, Sarah. But I finished up the dishes that my son had left behind that I'd been ignoring, which was me being lazy. But I got those done and got my dishes that I had soaking done from last night. And so my sink is actually, both sides of the sink are empty. It's weird. You had the word good blocked? Yeah, that's not good. So, and I got all the soda can 12-pack cartons torn up and thrown away, and dogs all cleaned up after, and don't know how long that will last, but for now it's good. And got the trash outside. Annie, yeah. Well, I don't have anybody here to do that. Yeah. My balls are internal. You can't see them. Weird. Very strange hotness. Susanna earlier, somebody, who was it, said that she came back into the chat this morning, her live, looking like a hot mess. And she goes, yeah, I do look like a hot mess. And I'm like, you don't look anything like Amy. It was funny. Oh, don't worry about it, Annie. Everybody wishes they could help me, and I would love to have people help me at this point, but it is what it is. So the good thing is that I can't reach 3/4 of the stuff that's in my kitchen, so it's not going to get dirty because I can't reach it to get it dirty. Because when the Toxic Twins were here, Jill and her mother were cleaning the kitchen. At least that's what they called it. And they were putting all the dishes up on the upper shelves in the kitchen. And I'm like, you realize one of the people that lives in this house is in a wheelchair and can't reach all that stuff, right? So, yeah, there are a few things that I can reach, and most of the stuff I cannot. Because even with a grabber, pots, pans, plates, and stuff, that shit's heavy. I'm like, I'm not dropping that on my head. Mm-mm. Oh, Annie, well, I hope you can get off oxygen and do what you need to do. My mom is slowly recovering from COVID. She sounded so much better today, so hopefully she won't try and overdo it. She's like, I need to get my laundry done. I'm like, Mom, if you strain yourself, you're going to go right back to how you were. You got to let your body heal. My mom can't sit still. So, she's been in tears just being so frustrated because she can't do anything. And she's like, I have never, ever been this sick in my life. And I'm like, well, I said, be glad that you're not as sick as some people have gotten. I was like, they've ended up in the hospital, Mom, or worse. So that's why I told her, I said, keep an eye on your breathing. Yeah. Yeah, she's having the same problem, Annie. Just getting from her room to the living room is about maybe 15 to 18 feet. And she's like, I have to sit down and just wait for a little while before I can make it into the kitchen, which is only another like 8-9 feet, And it's not her lungs though. It's just, she's so tired. She's just exhausted. It just wears her out. I can hear it in her voice because I went through the same thing when I had all the fluid retention. I had to use a walker to get around my house. I couldn't hold myself upright. All my muscles were giving out. I was so weak and it sucked. And they came. My mom, and my daughter and my grandkids came over to visit, and we were sitting outside. And I actually started to fall asleep while I was talking. And I'm like, okay, I have to go lay down, guys. I'm really sorry, and I love having you here, and I'm so glad you came to visit, but I'm going to pass out, so I got to go inside. And I went inside and I drank a bottle of water and felt a little better, but I laid down and slept for like 2 hours, and I woke up and I was okay. But that fluid retention killed me. Yeah, that happened in the hospital when they had that little nose thing in my face, and they had me had me with the oxygen because my blood oxygen kept dropping, so they kept stuffing that thing in my nose, and I'm like, oh, get it away from me. They were very nice and kept bringing me Sprite Zero, though. But I fucked with the male nurse really bad. He was so nice, too, but I had him overnight. He was my nurse overnight and when I was in the hospital, and he came in the morning. He's like, oh, you're awake? And I'm like, uh-huh. He goes, I had to come in and put the oxygen in your nose while you were sleeping. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah. He's like, the monitor went off. Your blood oxygen level dropped, so I had to come in and put it back on your face. And I'm like, so you were in here while I was sleeping? He goes, yeah. I'm like, what else did you do? He goes, no. Relax, I'm fucking with you. He was like, oh my God, you don't even know how much that worries male nurses. I was like, sorry, couldn't help it. Yeah. Yeah, my mom's, and for 89 years old, my mom is super active, so, and she's been so frustrated at not being able to come and help me. But I've just told her, you need to heal. We don't want you relapsing. We don't want you causing any permanent damage to yourself. So just calm down. Yeah, that sucks. I didn't have that problem, and it was funny because I was in the hospital 3 times, well, 4 times. Once for the fluid retention and the heart thing, and twice for my foot, and then for my amputation. And I was in the hospital for 5 days the first 3 times, and then 4 days for the amputation. And all of my nurses during each stay was fantastic, except one. Each time, I got Nurse Zilla. And each time I had to go, look, drop the attitude when you come in my room because I'm really not in the mood. I'm sitting in here miserable. You can walk out the door and go home. So, I got half my foot fucking lopped off. Leave me the fuck alone and don't give me attitude. And she looked at me and I was like, don't. I was like, otherwise you can get me a different nurse. I'm like, because I won't put up with that. And she's like, she apologized. Each of them apologized for being snarky at me because there was no call for it, and I won't put up with being treated that way. But yeah, they brought me snacks. If I was like, you know what, I'm kind of hungry. Can you guys grab me something? And they'd bring me like the little box meal. It was like really crappy, some kind of multi-grain like hamburger bun. And then there was like turkey deli meat that was not very flavorful. But they always had like a fruit cup or something, and then the Sprite, and then a bag of chips. I learned really quickly not to eat the baked Lays. Oh shit, I didn't hear the boop. Hi, Hotness. You're muted. Sorry.
Hi.
Hi.
I didn't know I could be on YouTube and in the back of StreamYard at the same time. I learned something new today.
There you
and
go.
Not even on purpose.
Learning new things is always a good thing. A really loud helicopter just went over my house. I wonder who they're looking for. Because we are not on a normal flight path for helicopters. It's got to be the police chopper.
We are, only because we're between the hospital and the highway.
Well, we see the hospital helicopter, but it's over farther. It doesn't come directly over the house or close enough that it sounds that way. Um, we can always tell when med flight's in the air, but this just went like almost directly over. Yeah, Annie, right? I got spoiled with 3 meals a day. I come home and I get one. After John died, I my food rations went down drastically. I was like, ugh. But hell, I'm by myself now. I only make 1 meal a day because I have to make my food last. But yeah, I felt spoiled too. And my hospital actually had decent food. Almost everything that I got from there tasted pretty good. So
That's how ours
even
is.
even though they stuck me on the low sodium diet. What's
Ours,
really
you can
funny
eat
is,
cheeseburgers every day that you're there.
yeah, well, I could have cheeseburgers, but it was like low sodium everything and like a multi-grain
Ew.
burger. Yeah, it was still actually pretty tasty, but it was funny because the first night that I was in the hospital when I was in there from the fluid retention and they told me I had a congestive heart failure, they brought me they brought me this meal and they told me they were going to be putting me on a low sodium diet. And I'm like, okay. And they bring me this meal and there's like all this stuff that is definitely not low sodium and a big piece of cheesecake. And I'm like, really? I ate the cheesecake first just so they couldn't come and take it away from me. I was like, fuck yeah. It was good.
I don't
Strawberry
like
cheesecake.
cheesecake. I think it's nasty. I'm
I
just
like
weird like
some
that, though.
I like some cheesecake. I don't like other cheesecake. It depends.
I mean, if it's chocolate, I'll eat it, but
No,
that's
see,
about it.
I don't like chocolate cheesecake 'cause it tastes sour to me, and I don't like it. It's the
That's
only
why.
chocolate
That's
thing.
why I'm not a fan of cheesecake in general. It tastes like somebody used soured milk to make it.
Yeah.
It's nasty.
The only thing that I had an issue with was the chicken. Their baked chicken was really dry, but everything else was pretty good. And they let me do the first time they brought me in food um was before I was able to, because they call at night to find out what your order is for the next day, and it was before they had called me and everything, because I got admitted in the afternoon, so it was just like a basic meal, and I was still hungry after I was done eating. I'm like, that's not enough food. That's not enough food to feed the 5-year-old at home. What do you? How do you people live on this? And they told me that when the dietitian called to take my order to tell them to do a double protein, so I would get double meat. So like if I ordered a hamburger or whatever, I'd get 2 hamburgers patties, and then the vegetables and stuff would be normal. So it was good because it helped sustain me. I'm like, I'm a big girl. I need more than like one little hamburger patty, because they were like the hamburger patties that you get at Walmart in the bags, like the frozen ones. It was
Hmm.
like 3/4 of that size, so they were small. I'm like, no, I can't live on that. I'm like, I'm starving. So, and it was still within my dietary boundaries that they put me on. So I was like, look, just give me food. Okay, I'm hungry. But yeah, the food was pretty good. Well, I only ever tried chocolate cheesecake twice, and I didn't like either time. I never know if I'm going to like the cheesecake until I actually try it, because some cheesecake is better than others. So, but with all foods and things that are bad for you, if I take a bite and I put it down, it means I don't like it. It's one of the only chocolate things that I've ever tried that I didn't like, because I love chocolate. I'm really lucky that I have some, or I'd be upset right now because then I'd want some. But I
I
still
would
have
just be
some.
happy to taste anything right now.
Mm,
I did not drink coffee today
no.
because I can't taste it. It tastes like nothing.
Oh,
Hot water does not taste good. It's not COVID. It's because my nose is all. I don't even know. It's not. I can still taste. I just couldn't taste the coffee.
yeah.
I like using cough drops and stuff. I could taste that. I could, I could, wow, I could taste my tea, but for some reason, when I drink coffee, it tastes like hot water. That's all I get.
Well, coffee's nasty anyway. You don't need that shit.
Usually, I need coffee to get motivated. I've been in bed all day. I think I've been altogether. I've been awake for like 4 hours today.
Bye, Bobby. Have a good day.
Bye, Bobby.
Well, we all know that I love Victoria. I really do. She is one of the sweetest people, but she kills me swinging that coffee cup around. I'm like, you're not conducting an orchestra with the coffee cup. Put it down. She kills me. Oh my god, because she has spilled it on herself, and I'm also worried that it concerns me that she's spilling on
it's
like her
hot.
keyboard, and
Oh, true.
yeah, I'm like, oh, woman, because you can see the coffee go into the edge of the cup, and I'm like, ah, that, and I'm a mom. She's gonna spill that shit, and it's gonna make a mess,
And she's gonna get hurt if it's not cooled down enough.
right? So yeah,
When we were out and about when I was hanging out with her that day,
yeah.
I had bought her an actual coffee. Oh my gosh, I don't even know. It's not like a regular coffee mug. It was bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this one you don't have to fill to the top, and you don't have to worry about Kodi yelling at you to put your coffee down.
It's so nice to know that I'm in your thoughts, even when we're not on YouTube.
Right. Well, oh my gosh, I don't know how many times you got mentioned that day. Every time we'd find what was it? The first thrift store, we found like this little, it was just a little figurine, but it was a bear. And even Grace, she goes, Kodi would like that. And I'm like, of course she would. It's a bear.
Right?
And like, we were looking through plush, and there was like this really cute teddy bear. And she goes, Kodi would like that too. And Victoria's like, I didn't even realize your girls knew who Kodi. I said, they know who Kodi is. I said, but you're the first one that's got to actually meet them face to face.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh. And I said, and this is the one that Kodi always tells her to put on her pants, because that one night she didn't want to put on pants.
And put some pants on.
Yep. I don't know what that was about.
Huh?
I said, I don't know what that was about. The kid wanted to walk around in a t-shirt and underwear. I'm like, you realize your two brothers and your grandpa's in the other room. Put some pants on. Put some shorts on. Put some leggings on. Cover yourself up.
That was funny.
I want to wear pants. I'm like, oh my god.
So I'm there on the phone going, put pants on. Put on some clothes, girl. What are you doing? I love your kids. Your kids are very sweet.
Put your damn pants on, kid. For the most part, they have their moments.
Well, yeah, all kids do.
Grace wanted to pack a bag and come help you, and I'm like, well, what are we helping Kodi with? I don't know, Mom. Does she need dishes done? I could do that. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm pretty sure anybody would be like, go for it. Right? Go do the dishes. She don't want to do that here.
I did all the dishes today, and my shoulders are still burning because I have to, the sink, I have to rest my arms on the sink, and it's at shoulder level. And in order to rinse the dishes without getting splashed in the face with hot water, I have to bend my elbows into the sink. It's terribly uncomfortable, and I was not having a good time at all. But they're done.
And my that's good that they're done, but that's craziness.
Yeah, because sitting in the wheelchair, that's where my counters are kind of high. So, yeah, I'm like, oh, fuck, So. But
she used to stand in a chair to help me do dishes when she was younger. Now I'm like, Grace, will you help do dishes? Why do I have to? Why can't Allie do it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the heck?
Yep. Kayla used to be the same way. And then my son just started throwing away silverware. He started throwing away all my forks because when he was little, and it was his turn to do dishes because he didn't want to wash between the tines of the fork. I'm like, where are all my forks? Well, I don't know. And then one of the
we had the same problem here with spoons. Like, we used to have, when you open our silverware drawer, it was overflowing with everything. And now we have the forks and the butter knives and the big spoons, like the tablespoons, but we don't have but 3 or 4 teaspoons, and we used to have like I don't know 50 in there.
Yeah.
Like, what happened? Did you guys get hungry? You're not supposed to eat metal. And Andrew's like, they're probably under my bed. Well, guess where we found like a million forks? Because he takes
Right.
food in his room, and then he'll bring out the plate, but not the silverware. And I'm like, oh, kid.
We used to have plenty of silverware, and I found like 5 butter knives and 1 fork out there. Now I have a fork, a knife, and a spoon in my room that I clean every time I use it, because my son would bring me food and forget to bring me something to eat it with, and then he'd get all pissy because he'd have to go back out and come back in. You know, an extra trip. So I just started keeping them in here. That way he didn't have to do it. And
I'll be right back.
so that's the only reason that I still have silverware. Hey, Darlene. Because all of my spoons, teaspoons and tablespoons, all of my spoons are missing. All of the other forks are missing. I'm like, what the fuck? So I don't know if he gave them away. I don't know if he threw them away. I have no idea what happened to them, but they're gone. I'm like, plastic utensils, here we come. So, and I did buy some plastic forks. So, because I got tired of washing 1 fork consistently to use it, you know what I mean? And at the time, I didn't know we had any knives left and they turned out to be under the plate my son left in the sink. I found them today. I'm like, oh wow, we do have some knives. Yay. Hey, Lance. How's my Boomer? I love Boomer. Boomer is Lance's Great Dane, and he's beautiful. Lance is probably like, nobody cares about me. They just love my dog. I care about you too, Lance. But I love dogs, especially Great Danes. So yeah, I don't know what the kid. I mean, the only reason we found out he was throwing them away when he was a kid is because John went to take a trash bag outside to the trash can, and the bag broke and dumped trash all over the ground. And lo and behold, there was like 5 forks in the trash bag. He's like, "What the hell?" He comes inside with them and goes, "Why were these in the trash?" I was like, I have no idea. And when I looked at the kids, and Kayla was like, "Wasn't me," and walked away. And my son is just like, you know, I'm like, why? He goes, because it's annoying when food is stuck in the forks and you can't get it out. I'm like, oh my God. Seriously, soak the fork for 5 minutes in hot water. You'll be fine. He never understood the concept of soaking something in hot water to get whatever's stuck on it off, you know, so it comes off easier. I'm like, ugh, child. So, yeah, they're all gone.
Sorry, my mom got home and she brought me a present.
Ooh, what'd you get?
A Jessica Simpson purse. And I swear it looks like I can fit half my body in it. But it opens like luggage instead of like with a zipper.
Interesting.
I don't know. I like it.
And Amy, you could fit half of your body in someone's pants pocket.
Almost. Depends on how big the pocket is.
You don't want to go in someone's Depends.
No, ew, no, that's gross. Oh, I gotta tell her one more thing. I'll be right back.
Okay. Ugh, craziness. So yeah, the silverware thing doesn't bother me too much. I mean, it bothers me that it's missing, and I bought it all, but using wise, it's not a big deal because it's just me. You know, I don't have other people. We won't be having to share a fork or anything. Nobody else here. My son had his own set of silverware that he took with him. So, but the silverware was missing before he moved, so I don't know. And it was still here after the toxic twins left. They didn't touch anything in the kitchen because she even left all her dishes and stuff here. 2 o'clock, Darlene, about an hour and a half ago. So sometime after the toxic roommates left, and about 2 months before he moved, all the silverware was missing. So that was all him. But whatever. I actually have a full brand new set of silverware. It's cheap Walmart plastic handled stuff, like the colored handles that's like translucent. They break if you put too much stress on them. But a friend of mine from North Carolina ordered it for me and had it sent to the Walmart up here. Then I went and picked it up a few years ago. But it's buried in the storage locker that is my room. But it's here somewhere.
What are you talking about?
Silverware.
Oh, okay. I kind of like tuned out. Was talking to Mom.
That's
I got
okay.
a package in the mail. I was like, you got a package today? She's like, yeah, it's my phone case. And I said, I don't think that's your phone case. That's a really big box for a phone case. I think it's her. They get, oh wow, wrong words. They got like the rope Christmas lights.
Yeah.
That's what we put around the trees at the lake. So, because if not, it's so dark you can't even see your hand in front of your face. So they put those up so we could see where we're going, like walking around there and stuff. And she's like, maybe that's them. And I'm like, well, I hope that's that. If your phone case is in that big box, those people need packing packing suggestions because nobody would do that.
At one point, I ordered, I don't know, 7 or 8 months ago, I ordered stuff from Walmart that I needed. One of the things I ordered was deodorant, and it got shipped separately. Why they didn't just put it in a box with other stuff, I don't know, but it got shipped separately. It came in its own box. This box was probably about 12 by 8 inches and like 4 or 5 inches high. And most of the box was those air pillow things and one stick of deodorant. I'm like, are you kidding me? Kill a tree, why don't you? I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, for one stick of deodorant. I'm like, you definitely do not have good packing skills. I'm like, wow.
I did that. I got that with Donna sent me a box of skincare stuff. And I get the one box open just for another box to be in that box. I'm like, what the heck? But the box that, like, it was just a regular cardboard box, the one I opened. The one inside was like their special box. And I'm like, okay, that's what I was storing jewelry in. That thing holds like 400 pieces of jewelry.
Yeah.
But I don't do jewelry anymore. I sold all my jewelry and I'm like moving on to something else. Which is what I'm supposed to be doing right now.
Sorry, Larry sent me a picture. It's funny. And it's got a Great Dane.
I've seen it too. He sent it to me.
That's cute.
That's how it is here with these animals. I let Princess come in my room and I moved to go get a drink. I come back and she's not only using my pillow, but her entire body is on my pillow. And I said, what are you doing, Princess? And she just looks up at me. How can you be mean to her? She's got blue eyes and she just looks so sad all the time. And I'm like, okay, you can use my pillow. So I lay next to her and not use the pillow. Then she gets on my face and was trying to lay on me. I'm like, no.
Mm-hmm. Well, while I sit here at my laptop, Simi wanders back and forth. Whenever she gets twitchy, she'll get up, she'll do whatever, scratch or whatever, and then she'll go pick another spot that's, cooler or whatever to lay down in. 9 times out of 10, she used to just put her head on my pillow. She'd like lay down and roll onto her side and have her head on my pillow like a person, right? All of a sudden one day, she notices that the pillow that I put my head on is kind of leaning up on the pillow behind it. And she's like, oh, that little indent looks like a comfy space to sleep. So she laid down across the entire thing, just covered both pillows. I'm like, are you kidding me? Excuse me, princess. Like, Your Highness, can I help you? She's just like, thud. I'm like, okay. But you just got the notification for the show? Wow.
I did too. I was like, you've been on for like, what, almost 2 hours? And it just came through.
Yeah, hour and 45 minutes. Yeah.
That's crazy.
But Simi doesn't. She doesn't crowd me when I sleep. She's a very good girl. She knows not to really lean on me. I mean, she'll lay touching me, but as soon as I move, she gets up and moves. Or all I have to do is say, Simi, move, and she moves. She just looked at me when I said that. You're okay. You stay. I gotta move now. Really? She's like, you're not even doing anything. But when I go to lay down, she'll, if she's laying on my blanket or like behind me when I'm sitting here, she'll get up and move to the top of my bed and she'll curl up there until I get situated. And then she'll either stay there and stretch out or she'll move back down and lay back on the blanket. But she waits until I get into position, however I'm going to sleep. She's a really good dog. She's like a self-trained therapy dog, for somebody with disabilities to be comfortable. Like she doesn't lean on me. She leans on me when she's nervous. But like sleep-wise, hi, my Susanna. She doesn't crowd me. She doesn't block me. And if I twitch, I'm like if she's on the blanket and I need the blanket, all I have to do is tug on a little bit and she gets up and she moves and waits until I get situated and then she lays back down. She's a very good girl and she's learned all that.
Hi, Susanna.
So Susanna, I was telling Amy about your coming back onto your live, and someone said you came back as a hot mess, and you said, "Yep, I'm a hot mess," and I said, "That's funny. Susanna doesn't look anything like Amy." Yeah, Simi's very sweet. I touch her all the time. Like I'll be sitting here chatting with you guys, and I'll just lean back and I'll touch the dog. She grounds me from, I don't know, it's just a comfort thing, I guess. So, but yeah, she would probably be considered like an emotional support animal at this point. But she trained herself not to get in my way when I'm walking. I didn't even have to kick her accidentally or anything. She just, if she wants to go, when I was able to put her outside and she'd let me know she had to go out, she'd go to the door. And as soon as I got to the door, she'd move over to the side and wait for me to open the door. She wouldn't be right in front of me. And I did train her to sit, to get put on and off the tie out because my back couldn't deal with bouncy dog. Hey, Jen. So she's really, really good. I mean, she gets excited when she meets people at first, but then she calms down and she listens. The only thing that I couldn't do was train her not to take off if she got loose outside. So that scares me.
Our dog tries to go visit the neighbor, the new one across the street. They came home the other day. She waited at the top of our driveway, and when they got out, she started to go across the street. I'm like, "What are you doing?" She turned around and sat by me, and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think so." We don't even have to yell at her. Like, when she's barking at something, Dad trained her to where all he says is leave it, and she'll stop. And I'm like, that's it.
With Simi, I'm like, hey, quit it, and she'll quiet down. But she doesn't really, I mean, it's very rare for her to bark at all. Even when Rogue would go off and start, Simi would just sit in here and like look at the door. If Simi sees the Rottweiler that lives next door and she'll go, boof, boof, boof. That's it. She doesn't bark. It's just kind of like an indication that there's something that's bothering her, but she won't bark. Now, she did bark when they knocked on the door, which is what she's supposed to do, about the car. But she doesn't bark in the house. Rogue barked if a leaf blew across the street, 3 miles away. It's been very quiet here without Rogue, although I do miss her. She's a sweet dog. To me and my son, she was a sweet dog. To everybody else, she was not. But I miss my granddog. But Simi's a very good girl. I've had dogs that I never had to keep them on a leash when I was outside with them. My Great Dane.
I tease my mom about having a Grand Guinea because I have a guinea pig.
Yeah.
Or Grand Guinea pig. She's like, I don't want to see that rat But then anytime she messes with vegetables or anything, she takes them in there to her and gives to her.
Aw. My Great Dane would stay within 10, 15 feet of me, wouldn't go into the road, because I'd be like, oh, Pablo, you want to go get the mail? And he'd right to the door, and he'd go out with me, and I'd just walk out there with him. Hey, Sandy. And, he'd romp around the woods a little bit, and then I'd be like, all right, we got the mail, let's go home. And he'd go right back down the driveway with me. And I didn't have to train him to do that. He just did it naturally. Now, if I tried that with Simi, she'd be down the street and around the corner. You know what I mean? I'd be like, shit. And it was at Coco, my son's dog, Coco.
Sandy.
She was fine. Certain dogs I've had, they're fine like that. Other dogs, if you don't have them on a leash, they are gone. And I asked a dog trainer once, I'm like, how can I train her not to do that? And she's like, bring her to obedience class. I'm like, how is being in obedience class going to train her not to take off when she's outside if she gets loose? I'm like, look, I don't have $100 to tell me how to train my dog when she's already trained, except for that. I said, I'll give you $20 if you'll just tell me how to keep her from taking off. And she's like, no, you have to come to class. I'm like, no. So, I mean, she was like that even as a puppy. If I hadn't had a 13-year-old living at the house with me when I was in North Carolina and I adopted her, my pup would have been long gone, because we'd be outside with her and all of a sudden she'd be gone down the street. And I'm like, oh, freaking dog. And Cheyenne would be like, hold on, I'll go get her. And she'd jump on her twisty skateboardy thing and go trolling down the street and come back with the pup in her arms. I have pictures. She was constantly fetching the dog. But yeah, 6 weeks old and Simi's wandering down the street. What's going on down here? Like, oh. I'm glad you're okay, Sandy. So yeah, that's the only thing. I mean, she's inside. She knows to sit, lay down, go to bed. And even though she was so excited when the plumber came in, because he didn't give me a chance to put her back in my room, which is why I freaked out, because he just walked in the door to the craft room and just walked in and left it open. And I'm like, oh crap, there's going to be a dog fight because Miha's going to get in there. And I immediately was like, Simi, get to bed now. And she turned around and went right back in my room and jumped up on my bed. So, she even excited because she wanted to see the new person in the house. Everybody is a friend. She just hasn't met them yet. And Miha was fine with him. He was like, he knocked on the door. He was like, hello. And I'm like, yep, just give me 1 sec. And he's like, it's the plumber. And he starts coming in the house. And I'm like, hold on, I got to grab the dog. And he come around the corner and saw the size of the dog and went, oh, hello, puppy. Like this one, I was like, because she's 70, 75 pounds, Shepherd Akita. She's a pretty big dog. And he's like, is the dog going to be okay? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, just come and meet her and she'll be fine. So he did. And he kept calling Miha him, but she doesn't care, but she was fine. And we avoided the dog fight because Simi is a good girl and she listened. But I don't use the word no. I use the word niet, because we figure if anybody broke into the house, we always use that with our dogs, because we figure if anybody broke into the house and they're telling your dog no, the dog is accustomed to listening to that command. They're going to listen. And I was like, I don't want someone to know the command for no for my dog, because if they're doing something they shouldn't be telling my dog no and have her listen. So we use niet instead. And my son didn't, though. So with Rogue, we'd have to say no. It got very confusing. Hey, Papa. Good afternoon. So it got a little confusing having to use different commands for different dogs, but that's the only foreign. He wanted to train all the dogs in Gaelic, and I'm like, I'm not learning Gaelic so that we can train the dogs. I'm like, oh my God. He's like, we just have to learn certain words. I'm like, no, you have to learn the correct pronunciation. He goes, oh yeah, I forgot. It's you. I'm like, yes, it is. So, but, and there's a difference between down and off, And it's funny because if Simi's doing something now, like with a typical teenager type of thing. Oh, I lost Amy. Simi will push her limits. She'll try and get away with stuff. Like when she's drinking water and I try to get her to stop, because she will you would think the dog was part fish. She will drink all the water in the bowl, regardless of how much water is in there. And I'll be like, all right, Simmy, enough, like this, and I can see that she twitches an ear, so she did hear me, but she keeps going. And I'd be like, what did I say? And she'll stop immediately and come back up on the bed. So it was funny because I said that out when she was outside once, and I was like, Cindy, get in here, time to come in. And she's wandering all over the place out there, and I was like, what did I say? And she turned around and ran for the door, and the neighbors were outside, and they just started laughing. They were like, oh, you gotta train like a kid. And I'm like, damn straight. It was funny. But she is a really good dog. My baby girl. Huh. See, I lean over, and she rolls onto her belly, onto her back for her belly rubs. She's my belly girl. She loves belly rubs. She's the only dog I've ever had that loved belly rubs. And Mija does too, but she was more John's dog than my dog. But Simmy's my belly girl. Okay, Amy. Those damn kids. So, I love dogs. Who, Sandy? Simmy? Yeah, she is. She's definitely my bud. She's my angel face. I was so lost when I was in the hospital, and I would like reach over, like I'd wake up and I'd reach over to reach for the dog because it's the first thing I do when I wake up is I reach over and I touch the dog, and she wasn't there, and it was freaking me out every time I woke up and I reach and there's nothing there, and I'm like, I want my dog, Yeah, I was worried because every time I've left her alone with other people in charge of her, she gets hurt. Although John took good care of her. I'm gonna assume my son at the time took good care of her. Although with his treatment of the animals now, I'm kind of concerned. But she survived whatever went on. So, oh, Sandy, that sucks. Constipated cats. They're already bitchy enough. I can only imagine. They have cat litter now that can tell you the health of your animal by the color it turns. Isn't that weird? It's kind of good, though, in a way. I saw a commercial for it somewhere. I don't remember where, but I was like, so they're going to be peeing a rainbow. Okay. Because it just shows a litter box with all the different colors in it. I'm like, interesting. What happens when they scratch? You know what I mean? They scratch the litter and cover it up, so it's going to be all over the place. I'm like, I don't think that's going to work too well. But if there's a problem and it gives you an indication, at least it's something that tells you there's a problem, Yeah, I can imagine after $700 vet bill. Whew. I don't buy anything at auctions because I'm broke. There are so many things. It's probably a good thing too because then I'd actually be a hoarder. It just looks like I'm a hoarder because of my entire life being in boxes in my room, but it's not. I've downsized drastically. Like every time I moved, I downsized. So it's just most of it. I mean, like a quarter of the stuff in my room is jewelry making supplies. I hoard that stuff. And then memories, lots of memories. Some clothes, not much. I don't have that many clothes. But I still have to find that bag of pens that I came across. I'm like, why do I have all these pens in a bag? Why am I keeping pens? Although I'm still keeping the Tasmanian Devil pen because it's very cool, and John got it for me. But regular pens, I'm like, why? Weird. I'm sure it was probably because John always stole my pens, so I was always looking for another pen. He'd be like, hey, let me borrow your pen. And I'd never see it again. I'm like, mm-hmm. Kind of like my lighter. he'd borrow my lighter and it would end up in his pocket and I wouldn't see it. I'd be like, can I have my lighter? He'd go, I don't have your lighter. I'm like, yes, you do. No, I don't. Reach your hand in your pocket and pull out what's in there. And he'd pull it out. Boom. There's my lighter. Okay, hotness. Have a good day. I hope you feel better. John was a notorious lighter thief. Lighter and pens. Something about phallic-shaped items. I don't know. It's just... Just because he's gone doesn't mean I can't zing him. My dog's still rolling around on her back, like, rub my belly. And she does this thing, if you rub her belly and you stop, but you're still facing her or still, like, looking at her, she'll do this thing with her front paws, like she's begging you to keep going. It's her way of saying, please. It's how she says she's sorry and how she say, like, play with me. It's funny. And, like, don't stop type of thing. Because she'll, she'll all of a sudden start doing this with her front feet, which is blurry, but you get the idea. Yeah, she'll do that whole begging thing with her front feet, and it's so funny. And I found out that that's her universal signal for everything, because one day she actually did something that she wasn't supposed to, and I was like, I don't want to say, but I was like, you were a bad girl, bad. And the ears went down and the guilty look, and she rolled onto her belly and started doing the foot thing like she was sorry type of thing. I'm like, oh my God, way too adorable. I cannot stay mad at you. Ugh. So, yeah. And she knows it. Miha can spell. The word out used to be a trigger for her. And whether she had just been outside or not, you know, like I'd walk into her room. She was like 6 months old. I walked into the room once and I was like, have you put her out? And as soon as she heard the word, she perked up and she went running to the door. And he was like, thanks. Now I got to put her out again. So we started spelling the word instead. I was like, has she been OUT? And the first time I did it, she perked her ears up and went running to the door. And I was like, holy crap, the dog can spell. Hey, TG. So, yeah, had to be careful around me, huh? She's a tricky, tricky girl who, unfortunately, I am going to have to surrender to the animal shelter. And that is breaking my heart. Because without being able to put them outside, I cannot take care of the two of them in the house. Not with the landlord freaking out like he is. So I just can't figure out how to get her there. But we're working on that. But anyway. You know, John dying just fucked everything up. He really did. Everything went downhill after he died. Fucker. Didn't have permission. He was going against orders. He never did listen to me. He should have. And he used to always say that. He'd be like, you know, I should have listened to you. I'm like, I keep telling you that. And then he'd come to me and go, Almighty Oracle, please give me your wisdom. I'm like, why? You never listen to it anyway. He goes, yeah, but I'm going to do this thing, and I just want to know if you're going to be right again. No, Sandy, there isn't anybody that would be able to come over here a couple times a day. So, and I mean, even once I'm using my prosthetic, I'm still going to have to use the walker to get out into the little utility room to get to the back door, and that's still putting a lot of strain on my legs, on my knees. So doing it twice, and having to do dog rodeo on top of that because the dogs don't get along, so I have to keep them separated. It's it's going to be too much. I'm just. I mean, if I had the money to pay them, one of them might, but I don't think anybody's going to do it. You know, coming over a couple of times a day to put the dogs out. Thank you. I feel really bad. I feel bad for Miha, because she's not going to know what the hell's going on, you know? I mean, the confusion she'll be going through. And I noticed she's pretty much lost her hearing. Although she did hear them knock on the door because she was barking, but I think she also saw them walk past the window, because I'll wheel out there and I open my door and it clicks pretty loud when I open my door, and I wheel out there and I can get right up on top of her. She's facing away from me and she doesn't even know I'm there, and that's weird. It was always Rogue that indicated that I was there, and then she'd follow along with Rogue. I didn't realize Miha had lost so much of her hearing until Rogue wasn't here. Rogue was her hearing ear dog. So she is getting up there for a large dog. She's 11, at least 11. She was about 4 months old when John found her, 11 years ago. So had her a long time. But I cannot afford to get booted out of here. I mean, a lot of people made a lot of sense in Victoria's chat this morning. I don't think that my landlord legally can boot me. Between being disabled and him turning around saying, well, it was never agreed that you could have dogs in the house. That's bullshit. Because we were always upfront about having the dogs, and we let him know that before John and Issa even came to see the place. And when we moved in, he showed up and he met the dogs so that he would know that, you know, they would be okay with him coming in the house and everything. So he knew the dogs had been here for 7 years. Same 2 dogs. I mean, we did have 3, but Issa took Dodge with her when she moved. But Simi and Miha had been in this house, except for the year that I was gone with Simi, in this house. And then I rented a different house from the landlord with my son. The same dogs have been in this house. So 7 years later, you can't all of a sudden say, well, you weren't supposed to have dogs in the house, when you've been in the house multiple times and you know the dogs are here, you know. And I'm not behind on my rent. I'm not behind, and I've never been late. When Issa and John lived here, we were sometimes late with rent, but that was on Issa's part, and I made sure that he knew that. Yeah, pretty much. She got thrown out of a car at the bottom of our street when she was approximately 4 months old. Her and her sister. Someone just drove by and tossed him out the door. John went to go get me cigarettes one night and came back with a dog. I'm like, what is that doing here? He goes, I found her at the bottom of the street. Isn't she pretty? And I'm like, uh-huh. Why? He goes, she's a baby. I can't let her wander around. I'm like, oh, crap. Now, the landlord that I had at the time was John's boss. He did apartment and building maintenance for him. So I'm like, Ray told me I could only have 1 dog in here, and I already have one. So he goes, don't worry about it. I'm like, famous last words. So I said, look, and these pups didn't even know how to play with each other, let alone play with people. And I was like, look, we'll give it 30 days. We'll socialize them and get them playing and acting like puppies, because they're beautiful dogs, And then animal control can come get them and they can be adopted. They're still young enough and still puppy enough that they'll get adopted quick. Well, the day came for animal control to come, and John disappeared with Miha. Animal control shows up, and I was like, yep, hold on, I'll go get them. And I went in and he was gone, and so was Miha. Her sister was still there. And I'm like, what the hell? He had gone out the other door. And he was hiding with the dog. I'm like, are you serious right now? And then he told the landlord we were puppy sitting for a friend of his that had to go out of town. Yeah. 3 years later, still had the dog. And Ray was like, I know that's your dog, right? And I was like, yeah, I know. He goes, because you don't puppy sit for freaking 3 years. I'm like, John. He goes, yeah, I know, it's John. I'm like, but yeah. You would think so, Sandy, but he's worried about his floors, and I can understand that. I mean, as a property owner, I could understand that. I do. I mean, whenever anything's gone wrong, like we got a hole in our bathtub, so water was going into the floor underneath the tub, and I was like, call the landlord and let him know. And because Issa was the communication with the landlord, I was like, call him and let him know. And John was like, no, I'll just get the stuff to patch it. I'm like, no, you call the landlord and let him know. I was like, it could cause structural damage. I was like, and he has the right to know about it. I said, if he wants to let you patch it, that's fine, but, let him know first. So him and his dad came out and looked at it, and then they went down to Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever and got this resin type of patch for it for temporary until they could get another tub, and then they replaced the whole tub. So, yeah, I know. Hi, Christy. I know. And I told his dad, I was like, look, I understand that damage can be done, water damage can be done, but these floors, we told the landlord, because they had put new floors in before we moved. Now, this stuff is that, like a grooved flooring with like a linoleum or like I don't know, it's crap flooring is what it is. And it started coming up as soon as we moved in. And we told him that because John tripped and almost hit his head on the back door because the corner of the flooring was coming up and the laminate or whatever that's on it. It's also any traffic areas or anywhere you put your feet constantly turns white. Like the color is coming off the flooring. And we told him all of this years ago. So any damage that was done was probably done by Talon spilling juice and anything else all over the place. Plus, well, the roommates that we had in there did some damage in there to the floor. But, I mean, the dogs go into the bathroom in the house on pee pads, which, granted, they miss occasionally. But I get it cleaned up, and it hasn't done any damage. Any damage that was to the floors was there before that. And you can tell it's old damage. I mean, where the flooring's coming up and everything, you can tell it's old. It's not recent. So, And I mean, honestly, I'm probably going to die in this house. I'm going to be living here until I'm dead because I cannot afford to move. And I have no way to get anywhere. I got nowhere to go. I got no way to get there. And I got no money to pay for the trip. So, and the only way I'm moving out of here is if I win the lottery and I can't afford to play it. So if he goes through with an eviction, I'm going to be squatting out on the street because I have literally no place to go. And I really don't want to get in a big battle with him. I mean, he gets out of control when he gets pissed at a tenant. When I was renting the other house from him with my son, the lady next door had to have stomach surgery, and so she was out of work. Now, she talked to him about it, told him she was going to be out of work, and that, could they work something out with rental payments, because she was renting month to month, just like I am. He never gave me a new rental agreement. He had said, yeah, and then, she had her surgery. She told him she would probably be out of work for about 3 months, so she would have to make up the 3 months rent a little bit. Well, I'm not a senior, Sandy, and I can't do apartments. Yeah. I don't do well that close to people. It fucks with my head. But and any kind of disability housing here, the minimum in the worst one is $1,500 a month. I get about half that a month. So, yeah, that's not going to really work. I looked into that. Yeah, so he turned around and told her that she had to get out, and he did the eviction process, and she went into court. He threatened to take all the doors off her house. She had a German Shepherd, and it was an expensive dog. It was a papered dog. He was registered and all of that. She paid a lot of money for that dog, and he's just threatening to take the doors completely off her house. And he stupidly said it in a text, which she showed to the judge. And he looked at my landlord and went, "You can't do that. That's illegal, and don't do that." And he gave the woman like 3 more months not having to pay rent or something. The landlord couldn't collect on it, couldn't collect back rent because he was being such an ass. And the landlord was like, "Look, I have proof on my phone that she said she'd pay it." And he goes, "Well, if you want to submit your phone into evidence," you should get it back in about 6 months. And the landlord went, "Never mind." But he was very rude in court. He does not know how to control himself or compose himself in a courtroom. He's not respectful. And the judge was getting very intolerant because I talked to the neighbor, and she was like, "Oh my God, you wouldn't even believe his behavior." So, you know, so yeah, she ended up winning the whole thing, and he couldn't kick her out. But she started looking for another place to live anyway because she didn't want to rent from him anymore. Because of course, after that, there's going to be all kinds of animosity and bad blood between them, and it makes for a very uncomfortable situation. That's why I don't want to get in a big fight with him, because I wouldn't be able to look for another place to live. So, I mean, if it comes right down to him freaking out about the floors, the only thing I can think of doing is doing some kind of fundraising thing and trying to get up the money to help pay to fix the floors so that he won't kick me out. And so there isn't a whole bunch of bullshit between us, Yeah. Yeah, Sandy, a lot of those apartments, I mean, first of all, I would need first floor. I can't take the dog for a walk because I'm in a wheelchair. So I'd have to have first floor access to a yard. And most of them, like when I was in North Carolina, I was looking at apartments, and all of them were like, "Yeah, you can have a dog, but it has to be 15 pounds or under." And I'm like, "What? That's not a dog. That's an accessory. You put a scrunchie around it and stick it on your wrist like a freaking corsage." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So, and since Simi was a puppy, I didn't know how big she was going to get. So she only got to 35 pounds, but still, it's, more than 15. But yeah, the assisted living here is not really assisted because you have to pay out your ass for it. And yeah. But I mean, I wouldn't even have a way to go look at places to live. I have zero transportation. I can't get in and out of my house comfortably. I mean, I can get out now. The landlord put a low threshold thing on the inside so I can get out. I just don't know if I'd be able to get back in without help. And there's nobody. I mean, my 89-year-old mother is not going to pull me backwards through the doorway. I mean, I'm like 280 pounds, I mean, there's no way that woman is going to be able to do that. She'd break herself. I'm like, that's crazy. So, yeah. But I can get out if there's an emergency, which was my main concern. I just don't have rides anywhere. I have no way to get anywhere. And getting an Uber or something is not going to happen. Ubers, taxis, anything that I would have to be in a vulnerable situation in, I can't do. Mentally and emotionally, I just can't. I won't. Aw, TG. I'd be aight. I've survived a ton of bad shit, TG. I'll be alright. Yeah, my life hasn't killed me yet. You know what I mean? Shockingly enough. I've come close, but not quite. Let me tell you, I could tell you about some shit. Hell yeah. But Yeah, we get through it. If I can get this leg working, it would give me a lot better. See, right now, it's just not feasible to be able to put the dogs out. I can't do it. And the post is still in the way. Even if I could get to the door, there's a post out there that was part of a railing that have been wrapping the tie out around, and eventually it'll get too short for them to get to the door. I can't go untangle them. I won't be able to get them off the tie out because I can't go down the stairs. Even with the prosthetic, it's going to be difficult. So my son was supposed to remove that post, and he did not. Yeah, I can't do that, Sandy. See, I've been raped 4 times. So to put myself and twice, well, 3 times were strangers. I can't put myself in a vulnerable situation with a stranger, being alone with them. I don't care how well they're vetted they are. Everybody's got shit that they never got caught for. You know what I mean? And especially now, being one-legged disabled bear, I can't do it. I won't get in a car with a stranger. I won't get in a vehicle with a stranger. Now I'll get in there if I have somebody with me, but not if I'm by myself. And there's nobody to go with me, so yep. Yeah, we have programs like that here too. And I don't the waiting list for Section 8 is so long, it's ridiculous. So it's pointless. They don't even they accept applications like for 2 days and then they stop accepting applications. So yeah. Because my landlord accepts Section 8, although this house would not pass. Even before we moved in, this house wouldn't pass Section 8. But it's definitely not disabled compliant. And I haven't bugged him too much about that because, well, I had Anderson Interfaith Ministries, it's called AIM. They helped me get the ramp up on my house. So, I didn't have to call paramedics to do the chairlift, stair chair thing. And that was very helpful. But they don't provide other services, and other people need to be paid. So, yeah, I can't do that either. I mean, my one neighbor mows my lawn and doesn't charge me for it, which is very sweet of him. And my neighbor Donnie, the guy with the Chihuahuas, he runs the store for me and stuff. Still get lecture about my cigarettes, but he gives. And then his roommate Ronnie, it's cute, Ronnie and Donnie. Ronnie is the one that came and rescued me when my toilet freaking exploded. Not literally, but water everywhere. My bathroom, part of my craft room, and part of my kitchen were flooded. He came in and shut the water off for me because I can't reach it. Otherwise, I would have already shut it off before that happened. And that's what started the whole kick with the landlord, is because the plumber came in and told him that the dogs had been going to the bathroom all over the floor. Well, apparently he didn't tell them that there were pee pads down, and that's what they were going on. So I don't know. Mind your business. I was in the process of cleaning it up. I cleaned it up every damn day. I was in the process of cleaning it up when he showed up. So, but yeah, he told the landlord the house was nasty, is what he said. So I'm like, thanks. It's temporary. I'm working on it. God. But we'll get there. It has been driven home by example that I cannot take care of 2 dogs. So, unfortunately, Mija's going to have to go, and hopefully she will find a good home without small dogs, because she will eat them. She does okay with cats. She was fine with Marty. Marty was wandering all over the kitchen and the living room and everything. Mija was just following around like, who are you, And the cat's all loving up on the dog, rubbing up on her like she, totally her friend. So I'm like, okay then. I'm like, well, it's good to know the dog won't eat the cat. because that was out of my control. I didn't even realize the cat had gotten out of the room. When I turn around, they were nose to nose. I'm like, ah! But yeah, they were fine. But Miha and Simi don't get along, so what I have to do is close the connecting door, make sure Simi's in my room. I have to get in the wheelchair, go out my other door, into the living room, through the kitchen, get Miha into the craft room, then come all the way back to my room, let Simi out, put her outside, then get her back into my room, then go let Miha out of the room. Da 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 da. I just can't do it. I mean, I've got a bad back as it is, and my elbows have been acting up. I think I have either arthritis or bursitis in my elbows. I don't know, but something's going on because they're both acting up, and they hurt when I try and move them in weird ways. It's kind of like, you ever sit there and go to move your arm, and like you go to straighten your arm, and it feels like it has to crack, and it's that painful moment before you feel that little pop. That's how they feel all the time, and I'm like, that's annoying. So yeah, something's going on there. Probably because I have to put so much weight on my arms when I transfer back and forth. But it's just too much for me to do. I've pretty much managed to figure out how to do everything else except the dogs and my laundry, because the laundry is in the utility room and I can't get in there. But I'm working on that too. So, yeah. Oh, Christy. Well, it will get sorted. It will be a lot easier to sort things once I'm able to use my leg, and I've got that process started again. So hopefully it won't be too much longer, maybe a week and a half, and we'll be all right. And I won't have to keep all the doors closed inside the house, because right now, I can't risk the dogs getting in a fight. So there's segregation in my house, and Miha's all by herself out there, and I feel so bad for her because she's never been alone. She's always had either a dog or a person with her. So Chrissy, right? Just pick something. They have some pretty sturdy plastic. I mean, like that industrial shelving stuff that they have. It's pretty sturdy. Yeah, I could see how homemade wood shelves would be pricey. You'd have to like find somebody who does cabinetry or make it yourself or something. Awkward silence while I stretch my back out. I'm still here though. Just every once in a while I have to let my spine bend the other way. I'm starting to look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame over here. So damn tired. Watch, I'm just going to fall asleep and the landlord's going to text me. It's been nice on here, but I was worried that he was just going to keep harassing me. He was really getting nasty with me yesterday, and I was starting to get annoyed. So I stopped replying because my answers were starting to be like, look, stop being a dick. You know what I mean? And that is never conducive to anything. Hey, Susie. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I honestly expected him to show up this morning to like inspect the house for himself or whatever, but he didn't. Haven't heard from him, so I don't know. What's new, Susie Woozy? How's the puppy? Besides energetic, with tiny baby shark teeth. Yeah. Well, those are kind of your only options: plastic, metal, or wood. I would go with the heavy duty plastic ones. Hey Wes, what's up? Wes's bird of prey. Who you hunting today? Puppy's laying down. Well, of course the puppy's laying down right now because he has to be up all night. Oh, that's always nice, Chrissy. Uh, I was up at 4 a.m. too. As a matter of fact, I was up at. Oh yeah, I didn't sleep. I did fall asleep for about 20 minutes, and I knew when I woke up, I was like, I have not been asleep that long, and because I leave like a video running, and it's a TV series, old one, and the same episode was on. I'm like, crap. I'm like, damn it. Yeah, I had been asleep about 20 to 25 minutes. So, and then I was overdoing it this morning, cleaning, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to sleep now. I'm so tired. And then I was like, you know what? If I fall asleep right now at like noon, I'm never going to get up for, the show. So I stayed up. And when this is done, I have to go out and feed Miha and make myself something to eat. Go make some food. And I think today is a cheeseburger and Pringles day. Sustenance. Thank you, Sandy. Have a good day. Or evening. Wherever you may be. Have a good one. Who, Susie? Me? We had like rain and thunderstorms yesterday a little bit, but nothing major. It changed its path, so it was north of us. So we didn't get hit by it. Not even really. I mean, not even the edge of it. It was more like the outer winds and bands and stuff. It's nice and breezy today. I had my door open for a little while, and that nice cool breeze this morning was nice coming in the house. TG, food. Yep. My one meal a day, TG. Well, it's weather, Susie. It changes all the time, and sometimes you get the same thing in different days. Oh, you're in a tornado watch. That always freaked my mom out whenever there was tornado watches or warnings or whatever in Massachusetts, because it's not a typical thing for up there. But all these storms are getting stronger and going farther, but don't forget, global warming is a myth. And yet we have consistently had unusual weather patterns every year that are getting worse. Storms are getting stronger, they're lasting longer, and they're going farther. We usually get flood warnings and stuff here too. But I think we're either in what's considered low country or like right next to it. So mean, I don't technically get flooding where I am, like physically where I am, but there are parts around town where they have flooding problems. Now, when I lived in the mobile home, the way they had set the way they set the house on the property, because it was down a hill, um, like from the road, the property slanted down and then it flattened out. I assume they graded it, but they put the house so that it was straight long ways facing the hill. So basically, our front yard turned into a swamp, a red clay swamp, when it rained real bad. Oh, yay, Christy! Yeah, Susie, the storms, I mean, they're getting worse. You know, TG, you always want food. Silly. I mean, it's one thing if you have like one season where it's bad, and it's like one season out of 10 years. But each season seems to get consecutively worse. The winters are harder, the summers are hotter, the storms that come through are getting fierce. You know, they're more intense. So, I mean, it's only logical that there's obviously a problem with our planet. Something's going on, and it's most likely due to humans. Because humans just fuck everything all up. Excuse me, I have to get crap out of my eye. Ugh. My eyes have been straining because I've been awake, so of course the only thing for me to do is be on the laptop, and I've got eye strain really bad. On top of my allergies, so I keep getting this goopy shit in my eyes, and then my vision goes blurry and it feels weird and wonky on my eyeball. So I have to get that shit out of there. Get it out! Get it out! I'm trying not to fall asleep on you guys. I've already done the fall asleep on my own live thing once. I don't want to do it again because there's nobody on here with me to be like, hey, wake up. And I'm still not done once the live is over in another 20 minutes or so. I still got to go take care of Miha and make something to eat. They said I don't have to wash the dishes before I do it. I already did that. And you know what? I sat there after, because I took care of all the trash, got all the trash out the door, because my neighbor, Ronnie, said that he would grab it off my porch, put it in the trash can, and take the trash can to the curb for me tonight. So I got all that done, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do the dishes later. And then I was like, you know what? No, you're not, because you won't get them done. You'll hurt too bad by then. And because, you know, the pain always sets in later. TG, you know, we were having such a good day. It's not bad. So I actually forced myself to get the dishes done so that I wouldn't procrastinate and not get them done, and they'd be sitting in the sink still. So they're all done. Sink is clean. I already had some dishes that I had done, and I'm like, now I have to figure out where to put them where I can reach them. I only have so much counter space, you know what I mean? But I figured it out. Because I can't reach any of the cabinets that are above the counters. I can't reach any of them. So putting things in there is pointless. Which is why I can't reach any. Well, my son left the plate. I don't know where the other plate is. We had 2 plates, and I don't know where the other one is. But the one that he left in the sink, I washed. And I have paper plates anyway because the plates that we have, the one plate I think is like Corningware. It's kind of heavy. The other one is stoneware, and it's really heavy, and it just plays havoc on my wrists especially at the angle I have to wash dishes. So, yeah, but I got it washed, and it's clean now, and it will get put aside so that it's out of my way because I can't put it up in the cabinet. Can't reach it. When my mom's able to eventually come back over, she can put it away. Put it up there somewhere. It doesn't matter. I got paper plates. It's just I don't like the pollution that the paper plates creates, but I have no choice at this point. Got to do what you got to do, you know. Yeah, Susie, my upper back is screaming at me. I don't know how bad my lower back is going to be. Probably won't know that until tomorrow. Once if I'm able to get to sleep and sleep for any amount of time, more than 20 minutes would be nice. And all my muscles relax. When I wake up, I don't know how bad my lower back would be, but my upper back is killing me. Because like I was explaining to everybody else, when I do dishes, the edge of the sink is at shoulder level when I'm sitting in the wheelchair. So, I've got my arms out, and you have to dip your elbow, you have to dip your arms down into the sink because my water flow sucks, and I get splashed in the face with water. So I have to angle everything because I'd rather have the backsplash get wet than me, And it kills my elbows and my shoulders, and my back felt like it was on fire. I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. I'm like, this sucks, So I hope your back feels better soon, Susie. But I got it done, and that was the point. I'm pretty much useless for anything else except feeding the dog and making something to eat tonight. TG. No, she's in New Jersey, Virginia. She's in Jersey. And she says coffee. Yeah, it's not really the joys of getting old. My back has been like this for 32 years. Thank you. Yeah. I use disposable as much as I possibly can because just doing the dishes is painful. So the less I have to do, the better for me. You don't even want to see me trying to wash a frying pan. It's so awkward and uncomfortable. But I did it. I have two or three of them that are in reach that I can use. I've been using the copper one though because it's easiest to clean. You know what they don't tell you though, those copper, the copper pans that they have on TV and all that. What they don't tell you is the inside comes clean really easily. The outside you can't clean if your life depended on it. Stuff sticks to it and it will not come off. I mean, I haven't tried an SOS pad on it yet, but I think my mom did, and it did not come off. It's just stained and stuck, and it looks gross, but it's clean. I mean, it's sanitized, soaped, and everything, but yeah, it's not pretty. It's definitely not adapted for anything except tall people. TG pretzels. I've had my copper frying pan. I have a little square one, and I've had that for 3 years, 3.5, 4 years almost. And the inside is beautiful. Hey, Rhonda. Yeah, well, you should still be able to wash it. I mean, you need copper cleaner to, polish it and spiff it up and everything, but you should still be able to wash it. I mean, the inside comes clean. Why didn't they put the stuff that's on the inside on the outside? You know what I mean? It's like makes the thing easier to clean. But yeah, I love that pan. It's great. it just doesn't look great. Yeah, the roommates killed my shallow frying pan. Now I have a skillet. It's like deep. It's a deep skillet. It's like three inches, and it's like got the tall sides. And I love that thing. And I wouldn't let them use it because they wrecked the other one. They used metal utensil in it and scraped all the stuff off the center. I'm like, you fuckers. They didn't take care of anything. They didn't care. It wasn't theirs. What do they give a fuck? Hell, they didn't even take care of their own stuff. And John got a couple of the copper pots too. I think they're under the sink. Unless someone took those too with the silverware. I'm surprised there's anything left in my kitchen the way my son was going through things. But yeah, Susie, I wouldn't be able to use it because of the arthritis in my hands. There's no way I'd be able to. I used to love cooking with cast iron, and I can't. It's just too heavy. It's too painful. Oh shit. I just realized that I forgot two things, but that's all right. I can put them in one side of the sink to soak. My son had, whenever he was cooking anything and he had like sauce in a big pot or something, he'd put the pot on the floor, and there's two pots on my floor because they're kind of shuffled under the kitchen table, and I forgot to grab them when I was doing dishes. I'll have to grab them when I go out there when I make dinner. Stick them in the sink so I remember to wash them. Let them soak, because who knows what the fuck is in there now. But he put them down on the floor for the dogs to clean out. Simi does not get people food, so it was Miha and Rogue that were nose deep into, big pots of spaghetti sauce or whatever. So, just about 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes. My knee is already hurting thinking about having to get up again. My knee and my right elbow is the worst. That's the one that started hurting first. And I don't know. It's so far it hasn't given out on me, but it doesn't feel good when I had to put my weight on it or bend it or pick up anything. Of course, it could just be tendonitis from the repeated movement of having to get up and down out of the wheelchair. I don't know. I do have tendonitis in my right arm from when I worked at Kmart, and I had to fold jeans. Jeans are heavy. When you have to fold them repeatedly, like 25 pair, then it wears on your tendons. So the doctor was like, "Oh, you have tennis elbow." I'm like, "I don't even play tennis." Yes, Wes. Rhonda's here. John's grandmother had a cast iron frying pan that was like bigger than she was because she was only like 5'2", and all her kids, John's father and his brothers, were huge. They were all, I mean, even as teenagers, they were over 6 feet. John's father was 6'4". I think one of his uncles was 6'5". I mean, they were all big guys, And whenever they'd start fighting or whatever, and they'd be out in the yard fighting with each other, she'd come out there with that frying pan and goes, "Don't make me bash you." And his dad said there was nothing scarier than a tiny woman with a big cast iron frying pan in her hand. They all shut up real quick. Yeah. She also fought off a bear with a broom. Yep. See, brooms come in handy for more things than flying. Simi looking at me like I owe her money because it's almost time for her to eat. Actually, it's past time. Wow, it's almost 5 o'clock here. Are you late getting your dinner? She's like, hello. There. She's like, hello, feed the dog. She's so needy. It's funny how they want to eat. You know what I mean? You're a brat. I tell her she's a brat. She gives me kisses. Apparently, she was not satisfied with my response because now she's closer. This is what I deal with. My dog's a goofball. Go on. You'll get fed when I feed you. You only got a few minutes to wait. Silly little peppers. Of course she speaks English. But her trigger word is EAT. Like if I said that word out loud right now, she'd be all up in my face, jumping around and be like, yes, 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 yes. Feed the dog, feed the dog, feed the dog. And she's back. Hi. When I say she pushes the boundaries, I mean it. She's back. I'm sorry, am I boring you? She is getting as close as possible to me right now. Simi, bed, bed. Good girl. See, she's a good girl. Scaring myself on camera. Ugh. Yeah, they do, Susie. They really do. What's funny is when I was training her in North Carolina, when I got her, she was about 6 weeks old, and I was training her to learn the word niet instead of no. And the one girl in the house, there was a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old, 13 and 15. The older girl, I kept saying no, and I'm like, please don't use the word no, use niet. And she goes, why? I was like, because I don't want strangers knowing her commands. And she goes, well, that doesn't make any sense. She's an American dog. She's not going to understand Russian. I'm like, you did not just say that. She will not learn banana poop. No. Yeah, I'm like, you realize she doesn't understand the actual word. She just understands the intonation and the syllables and the sound of the word. I'm like, So any word will apply as long as you train them to know that word. She's like, well, she's still an American dog. I said she'll understand it with a funny accent. I don't know what to tell you, but that's the word we're using, so please be consistent. Banana. Oh yeah, don't forget, good news with Victoria and Robin is on tonight. They're back. So they're on at 7 o'clock Eastern on Robin's channel because she shed. Yay! I do not know if I will be awake, but if I'm not, I will watch the replay. Because once I have food, I will most likely go into a food coma and hopefully be out for quite some time. I need rest. My brain is tired. Very, very tired. Yeah, I missed it too. Having a good time, you know? Yep, they are back and they are on tonight. Tonight. Yeah, I don't have a chair. Well, I have the wheelchair, but I'm not sleeping in that. Although I did fall asleep in it once when I was waiting for the neighbor to get back from the store because he took like an hour. Um, and that was when I was waiting for him to bring me the water. And I was dehydrating and crashing in my chair, and it was not a good thing. I was fine once he showed up with water, and I was able to crack open a bottle of water. I was fine, but I get heat sick very easily, so. Yep, that's midnight where you are, TG. It's very late. What about if you sleep in a bed? Would they still bug me? Bug me, yeah. I read bug me and said it out loud. I hang out with Victoria way too much. Um, would they still bug you? And just because, you know, I have to. Oh my golly. We have to do the Victoria tribute. Oh my golly, my golly, my golly. I'm so tired. Pretty soon I'll be doing just as bad of an English accent as Victoria does. I love her. She kills me with that accent, though. She has so much fun with it, though. TG. That's funny. That is funny. She is very cool, and she's very sweet. Yeah, well, Roxy could find you. See, even when Miha and Cindy got along and they could be in the same room together, and Miha used to sleep on my bed, the most she would ever do was put her foot on my ankle. Like she'd put her head on my ankle. She'd just rest her head on my foot, like so she could tell if I moved or not. And she'd lift her head up, wait until I finished moving, and then put her head back down. She was always very good about not bothering me. I have to admit, I have never said "oh my golly" unless I'm talking about Victoria or saying it in tribute. Yeah. No, I've said "good golly, Miss Molly," but that's a song. So. TJ, you will not minionize my chat. I just mentioned that I hadn't had to time out anybody in quite a while. Don't make me break the streak, all right? Behave yourself. Talking about being innocent and an angel and all that bullshit. See, it's all bullshit. You're full of it, TG. You need to go back to the bathroom. Yeah, so busted. Well, I am going to wrap it up, guys. Ugh. Yeah, no dogs in my face when I'm sleeping. That was always a nope. I hope everybody has a good night. And don't forget Victoria and Robin's show on Because She Sheds channel, 7 p.m. Eastern. I have no idea if anything else is going on because with my tired brain, that's all I can remember right now. But I did remember that, so go check it out if you can't make the live, like probably me. Then just watch it later. Yeah. I hope everybody has a good night. I love you guys. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me. We will be back on Saturday, and I will be out of cigarettes, so there's no telling. I could be cranky. I don't know. But we shall see. I'll talk to you all later. Bye.